and then you get a while ago I reviewed the Ivogo Velocity tank, and at the time I described that as somewhere between a clone and an authentic, because it took the airflow and the vape quality from the Avid Vapor Velocity Dripper, or RDA, and turned it into a tank, or RDTA, right? If you haven't seen that review, you can click here and it'll take you directly to the video, but what I'm reviewing today is the upgraded version of that, and it is way better. They've fixed all the problems that I personally had with it, and that ones that weren't even subjective. So that's what we're looking at today. So the main differences that stand out to me about this one over the last one was that this is now 24 millimeters, and it's kind of 24 millimeters right down. The old one was 22 and then it bulged up to either 23 or 24, something like that. This is just straight 24 millimeters, and the materials they're using are way better. The deck is not Delrin, they're using a metal deck now, and now there's a single coil adapter made out of ultem that they source from the States, and that gives you the ability to use a single coil, which I am using right now. So inside the little box that it comes in, you get obviously the Velocity tank. Underneath that you get a variety of things. You get a 510 drip tip adapter if you don't want to use this wide bore one that it comes with. You get a spare glass, which I haven't taken this apart yet. I think to change the glass you have to like unscrew the 510 and take it all apart, take off the positive pin, all that stuff, which some people might find as a con because you can't clean it out that way by just easily slipping off the glass, but I've just been rinsing it under the tap and it dries out like nothing. Anyway, you also get a bag of spares, you get a Allen key obviously to build with, and then you get the single coil adapter. So the tank itself is relatively simple on the outside. You get a big wideboard palm drip tip. On their website they say Teflon. I have access to their website and I'm gonna change that because I asked and this is not Teflon, it says Teflon, and when I put it in my mouth I was like, this is way too hard to be Teflon. It's palm, which is fine, it does the job, but I just don't like that where they're saying it's not what it is. The body is made out of 304 stainless steel. Sturdy enough, I haven't had any problems with it. The airflow is obviously the same as the original Velocity and the Velocity tank. Taking off the top cap, you can see the deck. You get your simple Velocity style post, just 2 posts, positive, negative, very simple to build on. You get your 4 holes cut into the stainless steel deck, which is good to see. Easy, relatively. I'll show you later when we build it how I put my cotton into it. Then you get a fill hole, and on the other side you get a little locking thing that was on the other Velocities where you could hold the top cap in place so that you could change the airflow without unscrewing the tank. So let's talk about the single coil adapter. I'm very happy that they added that, because with something like this where it wicks better if you lean it, I love a single coil because that way you're always getting your liquid into one coil. It's easy, it's simple, and it does the trick. Now, it's not the best single coil adapter. It is high quality material. I don't think you're gonna have problems with it heating up too much because it's made of ultem, but at the same time it doesn't fit the best. So when you put it in on one side, it can block off the half of the airflow that comes in through the single coil adapter, because how they've designed the single coil adapter is with a hole in the middle of it so that when you have it installed, air can come through the back of the coil and hit the back of the coil and just get better airflow and supposedly better flavor with that. I don't really find so, but either way, on one side it doesn't work. If you flip it on the other side, it's centered and it's fine. I'm not really sure if that'll matter to a lot of people, but that's something to note. The other thing and the huge problem that I have with it is that when you take it off, a lot of the time it goes flying. But if you've been vaping it for a while and there's kind of liquid built up around it, it's holding it in place, it's completely fine, but we'll see if it happens now. and it didn't. So once liquid has been moving around in the tank and you've been vaping it for a while, it tends to stay in place pretty well. Worst case scenario, when you pop off the top, it sticks inside of the cap, and that can actually be better because then you have 2 extra holes where it normally blocks that you can fill it up from. But as it stands right now, it seems to be staying in place quite well, and I don't have a problem with it. But when you first build it, the first time you pop it off, every time for me it falls off and it's a pain in the ass. You have to wash it because it's on the ground and all this crap. So that's about it for the construction of this thing. What we're going to do now is do a build tutorial. I'll show you how I've been using this, and then I'll tell you about how it vapes. So I've cut myself about 6 inches of this Clapton wire, and I'm going to be building a single coil. You can see the Clapton wire kind of there. I'm building a single coil, but I've positioned it in this position where the fill hole is on the left, because if I put in this single coil adapter, that makes it centered. If I was to do it the other way around, it would be kind of blocked off. So I guess you could do it like that to block off some of that airflow that's coming in from behind, but I'd rather just have it centered and adjust the airflow with the top cap. So obviously this has to be off while you're building it because your leads need to come through the back there. So I'll zoom out again. And now we need to wrap the coil. I'm going to be using the 3mm bit for the coil master. All you do is slide it through the top, screw it into the base of the coil jig, use the 3mm one that's according to it, and put your wire through. I like to leave some at the back because that's one of your leads. I push it up against the side so that it's flat as possible. Then you just wrap, and I believe we're going to do 6 or 7. Okay, so that's 7. And zooming in, we can see kind of where that would be positioned. And that seems just about right. Might be slightly big, but we'll find out in a bit. So I took the coil out, took the rod out. I'm gonna put it back on there and then just straighten out these leads to make it easier to install. That should be okay. As always, one of the leads is going under and one is going over, and that's why we have the top right open and the bottom left open. So we'll just position that in. And I find it easier to do it the other way around just because I'm right-handed. And I like to install these coils diagonally so that once it's screwed in, I can kind of bend it up and then it's in position. The way this deck is positioned, there's always going to be one hole that's closer to the coil, one of the cotton holes. Not that big of a deal, but it's kind of annoying, and that's something you have to get used to. So let's screw in this coil. So I'm just going to hold it in position with my thumb, get the Allen key that comes in the box, and screw it in. And I've noticed I can screw these in very tight. The screw does not strip and the wire does not snap. Alright, so now our coil is kind of out of place. We're just going to play around with it a bit with the rod and get it as centered as possible, but like I said, it's not going to be perfect. That's not bad at all. And there's our coil sitting there. All we need is our wire cutters. Put it as close to the post as you can get it. Hold on to one of the wire. Hold on to the lead so that it doesn't fly everywhere. Do the other side. And we really need to make sure that it's flat on that end, or as flat as you can get it, because when we put in the single coil adapter, it needs to fit. So I've just put in the single coil adapter. It is a very tight fit. When it's dry and brand new especially, it's pretty hard to get in there, but once it is, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, right? I can shake it or whatever and it's fine. If you look through there, the coil is pretty much as centered as you can get it, and then through, that's where the airflow is going to come in from behind. if you want it to. I'll show you a way that you can kind of close that off. And then, yeah, we're ready to heat it up and then put some cotton into it. Okay, so I've got my IPv-D2, and even though this is one of my smaller mods, see it fits in my hand well, it's one of my only mods that can actually fit a 24mm RDTA or RTA or whatever you're using. I'll show you that here. So it actually fits perfectly on there. We're just gonna fire up this coil and see how it does. Claptons always take a little bit longer. This is where we need our ceramic tweezers. Now, you can use metal tweezers if you want, but do not touch the coil and fire it at the same time because it will just destroy the coil. You can do it with ceramic, just not metal. So right now I'm just brushing them. That is the easy fix to making coils glow even, sorry. Give it a little squeeze here and there. I'm just going to continue to do this until the coil glows from the inside out. That little spark looking thing you're seeing is called a hot spot, and you do not want them. Much better. Okay, so I'm going to put in my cotton now, but to do that I either need to take this off the mod or just turn it off, which I'll do now. So I've cut a piece of cotton that I'm going to be putting inside the coil. In time, it'll get easier to kind of know how much you need to use, but I found this is pretty decent for me. This is the 3mm rod for scale. So what I do is I just take off one layer of the cotton, and that way I find it makes it a bit more fluffy, easier to wick. And then this is what I've been doing more recently, separating it a bit, just to make sure that it's going to wick as efficiently as possible, because the wick or the liquid is going to go up the wicks to the coil, so it's kind of different from your average coil where it's on the bottom and the liquid is automatically going down with gravity. So I just want it to wick as efficiently as possible. Just going to roll it up, get one end, twist it pretty tight, and then feed it through the coil. If you've done it right, it should be relatively easy to pull the coil through, but I should be able to just barely pull it through and move the mod at the same time. So it's kind of tight, kind of snug, if that makes sense. You don't want it to the point where the coil is moving when you pull the cotton, but you don't want it to where you can just pull the cotton right out. Now for how much cotton you need to cut off, I like to hold it down here and then kind of eye it up with the top of that glass, because right now it's kind of going over the whole thing. When it goes inside, it'll go a bit longer. So I'll line it up to there and cut it. Okay, so now probably the hardest part, if you're not good with dealing with small spaces, is getting these cotton leads, I guess, down those holes. You can use the same tweezers, fold it, and here's where I like to use the flathead screwdriver and just kind of push it down there. Try not to bunch it up as much as possible, because you don't want it to block that hole completely. You still want a little bit of air to escape so that the liquid can make its way up. There, I'm just kind of pushing it down to make sure it's going down, and I maybe even could have done a bit more, but this should be fine for now. If you want to use your fingers, you can. And that's what one side looks like. I've done a bit much on this side and a bit little on that one, but what you can do is just pull and try and get it as even as possible. Not the biggest deal, because we're going to be tilting it to vape it anyway, but yeah, that should be good for now. So let's get some liquid on it. This is called Vape Pocky. I picked this up at Juice Jam Toronto, and if you've ever had Pocky, the sticks, this is what it basically tastes like. It's like a strawberry vanilla cream with a biscuit kind of flavoring, or pretzel, whatever it is. And we're gonna see if this can fit in there properly to fill it. This is a 60 ml bottle. Just gonna make sure these are wet from the start. Turn back on the device. See what it's reading at. 0.98. This is a big coil. Should do well for battery life though. And yeah, that is vaping up a storm. Alright, so this is what this fill hole is for. It seems to be doing fine. So yeah, if you have the right bottle, it's very simple. Alrighty. All that's left to do now is fit this into the hole and that into the lock so that it's in place. And I've been having trouble doing this perfectly, but we'll see if I can get it. Yeah, so if you don't get it perfectly, that happens. And what I was doing before is twisting it to kind of like snap it into place, but I realized that when I do that, it messes up either the coil, or in this case it would kind of scratch and move the adapter, so you really want to line it up properly. And that seems to be about as good as it gets, but you can see that it's kind of leaning up on that side. So I found once it gets kind of wet in time, this will either move properly into place, or it gets stuck up here sometimes, and that's actually better, because if you need to fill it up, you get 2 extra holes to fill it up, and then it just snaps right back on. So either way, not a big deal. There we go, it's on. That's about as good as it gets, so let's vape it. So quite honestly, I was not excited about getting this thing, because it was just, I thought it would be too much airflow like the other one, and it just wouldn't vape that nice, but I'm seriously impressed by this thing. Right now I'm vaping it with the indirect airflow only, so it's just a bunch of small holes all around the tank, and this is how it's vaping. The flavor is actually incredible, it's really good, and this juice, Vape Pocky, when I tried it at Juice Jam, I kind of found it as like every other strawberry cream that's out right now, and I was pissed off because everything strawberry cream right now tastes the same. But now I'm vaping it again, I get more of the biscuit flavor, and it's really good. But in this, it's coming through so well. It's a really saturated and juicy vape. So just the indirect airflow, I get the best flavor from. If you want the best clouds, you can open it up a bit. And this is the direct airflow open, but the indirect closed. Way more airflow. Take it a step further, open up the indirect airflow on top of that, and I may get nicked out right now. It's probably the cloudiest thing with the most airflow that I own right now. It's absolutely ridiculous, and that's not even completely open. If I screw this open a whole lot more, that was at 46 watts, right? I'm gonna bump this up to like 60, and I'll see what I can get out of this thing. Keep in mind, if you're vaping it like this, the liquid is not going to last a long time. I think this holds 4 mils, which is quite a lot, but at this kind of power, it's a bit ridiculous. Flavor goes away quite a bit, but no dry hits, so that's a good thing. I'm gonna close this right back down to just the indirect airflow, because that's how I'm vaping this as a flavor tank. It's so good, it's not too hot, it's a nice warm vape, very saturated, kind of feels like you're drinking the liquid without it actually spitting up. So I really like this thing. It has a couple quirks, like the single coil adapter popping out right after you install it and stuff like that. And the whole idea of calling it the velocity, if that'll focus, come on, there we go. Calling it the velocity, why? Like, it didn't need to be called the velocity, but I guess they're playing on the whole hype of the velocity if it's still around, which I think it might be, but taking that out of it, I'm really impressed by this, and I'm gonna be using this for quite a while now. I didn't even talk about the best part yet, and that's the price. So if you watch my Ivogo Hornet review, I was talking about how they are now trying to be an authentic company, but they're keeping clone prices, right? So this thing, the link will be in the description for where you can buy it, but it's gonna be 15 US for this whole thing. With everything you get, 15 US I think is an incredible price for what you get. Shipping, if you're in North America, is going to come from North America, so it's gonna take a couple days maybe until there's like a shipment into Canada where it'll ship out from, but shipping within Canada is like $8 or something. Either way, it's a really good price for what you get, and I would definitely recommend this. But we'll wait for other reviews, see what other people think about it. I don't think I see anyone being really disappointed with this, besides from that single coil adapter popping out. Yeah, it's really good. So that's about it. If you have any questions about the Ivogo Velocity 24 RDTA, feel free to leave a comment below. If you've tried the original and you want to try this, let me know what you think is better about this so that other people can read your opinion and stuff like that. So that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon.